nubiahoodradio.com. Let's start out with the introductions as we usually do every Saturday. So I want to give you the Herbal Intellect show lineup. So I've come up with different shows for the next few weeks. And of course, if you have a show that you really want me to cover or some topics you really want me to cover on the show, just send me an email at herbal@nubiahoodradio.com. Okay, so for this week, of course, we're going to be talking about tonifying herbs that you can take for long periods of time that are good for the digestive system. And we're also going to be talking about food combinations, how foods are combined properly for our diets, and also food colors. Hopefully we're going to push that to the last because I just found some good information that I want to share with you on food colors. And so it's not going to be the core of today's show, but it's definitely good information that I want to get to you at least a little bit today. On November 1st, we're going to be talking about the enteric nervous system. Finally, I'm going to bring that into the show. I've been talking about it. But we're also going to cover parasites and intestinal parasites on that show. On November 8th, we have the survival show. So survival herbs, if you're out in the middle of the desert or out in the middle of a jungle, what kind of herbs are good for surviving. And we're also going to have a guest speaker on that show. His name is Zappa. And he's going to be talking about survival and how to search for different berries and plants and wild edibles on the show. So we're going to have him. I really appreciate it. And then on November 18th, we're going to talk about first aid. So that kind of goes along with the survival show because, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, how are you going to, protect yourself and also help yourself if you're in a situation where you need some first aid. And then on November 22nd, we're going to talk about contraindications. So herbs that are not good for certain things. So for example, most herbs are not good for you when you're pregnant, okay? But there are some that are. So that's what contraindications are. And then on November 29th, we're going to hopefully talk about herbs and crystal correspondences. So if Tay is listening right now, I hope she is. So hopefully we'll have her on as a special guest to talk about crystals because she does consultations for crystal healing, and hopefully she can give us some insight on how herbs and crystals go hand in hand with healing and spiritual awareness. So we have a lot of great shows coming up on Herbal Intellect. I hope you're able to catch all of them. Also, I have actually two interviews. Well, one interview and one panel that I'm going to be on for a forum. Next Thursday, it's going to be a panel on breast cancer with conversations with the Queen and many other beautiful women who are going to be talking about breast cancer and alternative measures to treating breast cancer. So that's next Thursday, and of course I'll put all the social media stuff out about that. It's up right now with conversations with the Queen. And then that next Thursday after that, I'm going to be having an interview with the Pan-African Alliance group, Brother Asad Malik. He is going to interview me talking about herbalism, basically, and how just different questions about herbalism and why we need to incorporate that into our lifestyles. So I hope you all can catch some or any or all of this. And of course, my workshop is going to be coming up tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time at Catch Up Not Just Coffee, the Black-owned coffee shop in Rancho Cucamonga in California here in the Inland Empire. And we're going to have a wonderful workshop. People have said they're gonna attend, and we're going to be talking about an introduction to herbalism, and we're going to be doing some hands-on making herbal medicine. So I hope everybody can, if you're out there, you can't make it, that's fine, but I hope that people that are listening and have decided that they want to show up can join us. All right, so of course, if you're in the chat room, we're monitoring that. So, keep your questions and comments coming. If you want to call in, the number is 323-815-8729. 323-815-8729. Oh, and of course, press 0. That's the way the phone lines are set up. We have a system here where you press 0 after you call in. Nothing wrong with that. All right, just remember that. Okay, so let's get started with today's show. I'm gonna first talk about the herbs for toning and protecting our nervous system, or excuse me, not our nervous system, our digestive system and the digestive tract. And I'm just gonna run through these herbs. Oh yeah, I forgot the question of the day for the chat room, of course. The question of the day, since we're talking about colors and colors in foods, the question of the day is, it's not really a question. It's just name as many foods or things that you eat that have a blue-black or bluish purple-black color. So things like blueberries, blackberries. Name as many things as you can in the chat room, or call in, give us, you know, your list or whatever. Because some people might know some things that we might not think of and might want to incorporate into our food and into what we eat on a daily basis, because we need to continue to eat foods that are rich in colors, rich in rainbow colors. Yes, so that is the chat room question of the day. Okay, I hope someone maybe will post on Facebook or send a reminder out on Facebook for our Newbiehood Radio page, telling people we are live right now. That would be great. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go through my list of herbs that are good for long-term use, and also they're directly good for the digestive tract. Okay, so the list here is chickweed, one of my favorite herbs. It's good if you decide to buy some land and start a farm as well, and you want to have chickens. They love chickweed. Okay, no coincidence there. They do love chickweed, and it's a good nutritious weed for them to eat, fresh or dried. So that's why it's probably called chickweed, but it's very nutritious to them, and it helps them produce really strong and viable eggs as well. So that's chickweed. Chickweed and propolis. Now propolis, like we talked about a little bit last week, where, you know, I put the question out there in the chat room, where does propolis come from? Have you ever used it? Propolis is basically a tree, it's basically a resin, okay, that bees get. And they use it in their beehives to close up the different spots of their beehive and it becomes very hard, like a resin would. So think of like myrrh or frankincense. It's kind of similar to that. So propolis, it's liquid at first, but then after a while, sitting open in the air, it will harden up. But you can't take propolis. You can make a tincture out of propolis, which is very interesting. But it's really good for the digestive system. It's high in nutrients, but it's also particularly good for the bladder. So chickweed and propolis are good for the bladder. Also, there's milk thistle, of course, golden seal. Now for golden seal, I would consider taking golden seal maybe once a month for a tonic type herb, something that you take over a long period of time. So golden seal will strip all of your vitamin B, not all of it, but it will strip your vitamin B from your system. So you don't want too much of that in your daily regimen, okay, or in your weekly regimen. But golden seal is really good for a tonifying herb, so I would consider that something you use sporadically. The more you use it, the more it becomes a cleanser instead of a tonifying herb. So it will act as a diuretic, or as a cleanser for your digestive system. And then another quick thing here for your spleen. We didn't really talk about spleen too much with this series of digestive system, but last season we talked about the spleen when we talked about the liver and how a little bit about that. But the color for the spleen is orange, and we're going to be talking about colors briefly on the show today. But the color for the spleen is orange. So just remember that when you're when we talk about this, or when you're going through the store and trying to build your immune system and things like that, you want to get colorful foods, and one good color is orange. Okay, then there's also yarrow, which is a beautiful yellow flower, Siberian ginseng, and lemon balm. Those are really good for the stomach in particular. And then there's barberry, we talked about before, which is a good laxative, but it's not very strong. It's very mild, similar to licorice and things like that. But barberry is also good, high in antioxidants. There's yellow dock, which is it's so interesting, yellow dock. I've made some yellow dock salves and oils that also have other herbs in them as well, but yellow dock will really tint almost everything that you put it on. So you touch it, it will turn your fingers kind of yellowish brown, kind of like similar to what an iodine would do almost, but it's not like that. It's a strange thing, but it's interesting to me. But we're talking about colors, so let's continue. So yellow dock, evening primrose is also good. The yellow dock and evening primrose are particularly good for the colon and the large intestine. Okay. So that is my complete list, but then the ones that I would definitely go for, my top 5 would be the chickweed, propolis, milk thistle, yarrow, and Siberian ginseng. And I didn't talk about Siberian ginseng, but Siberian ginseng, or eleuthero is another name for it, is just good for everything. I really enjoy it as an herb. I really appreciate it. It's great. Okay. Alright, so those are my top 5 herbs. Let's continue on here. And now let's talk a little bit about food combining. Now I know people are very, what do you call it? They're trying their best to start to eat better. And the people that are not at that level yet, they're trying their best to start eating better. And they, are incorporating, foods and different, salads and whatever else into their diets. Trying to make smoothies in the morning, trying to do green smoothies,
take a break,
and things like that. But let's take a real quick break, and we're going to continue talking about this in 1 second.
Stop recording.
Oh, okay.
Just now. I thought I could teach you into so I could play, listen to your old one and record.
Oh.
It froze up and everything. What the hell?
Oh, really?
So I can't edit nothing while I record. So sorry.
Okay. I was going to try to send some Facebooks so people can remember to get on.
Should I put the stream?
So what?
Should I put the stream?
No. Nah. Just edit it later, man.
Alright. No, I mean the live one.
Yeah, I know. Actually, yes. She's making those faces.
What?
Just, cut the stream.
Oh. I don't know what's going on.
How much time until your song's up?
2 more minutes.
Babe, you
What?
gotta update the stream title too. It says audiobook.
Oh, I forgot.
Shit. You should see that at the top.
Let's see it.